You have a son of a billionaire who forced his son on the team, who doesn't deserve to be on the roster, who took a roster spot away from another deserving player. And to make matters worse, you now take another player that was more proven, better than him, and you send him to the G League.
Giving him a job in the NBA when the guy is clearly unqualified. This is classic nepotism. It undermines the game.
You could make a legitimate argument that Bronny in year 2 is a worse player than he was in year 1.
The Los Angeles Lakers just made a move that has the basketball world asking one simple question. What in the actual hell is going on in LA? While the league watches in disbelief, the purple and gold just sent first-round pick Dalton Knecht to the G League. Yeah, you heard that right. The 17th overall selection in the 2024 NBA Draft, a legitimate rookie talent who dropped 37 points in a single game earlier this season, is heading down to South Bay to develop his game. Meanwhile, Bronny James, averaging a microscopic 1.9 points per game on 32% shooting, gets to keep his seat on the bench warm at Arena. This isn't just bad optics anymore. This is a full-blown crisis of credibility for one of the most storied franchises in professional sports.
Because his greed, his desire to play with his son may end up blowing up in his face.
Let's break down what just happened, because the details here are absolutely wild. According to a report from Fadeaway World that's sending shockwaves through NBA circles, the Lakers have assigned both Dalton Knecht and Thiero to their G League affiliate, the South Bay Lakers. The official reasoning? They've fallen out of the rotation due to a fully healthy roster, and the front office believes they'd be better utilized in the G League.
You're not going to make an upgrade simply by trading Dalton Knecht, right? If you trade Dalton Knecht for Herb Jones, like that would never happen. And
a first-round draft pick? A rookie who's averaging 6.4 points per game in just 15 minutes of action, shooting 47% from the field and 36% from three-point range. A player who exploded for 37 points with 9 three-pointers in a single performance, announcing himself as a legitimate NBA talent. A player the Lakers valued enough to select with a lottery-adjacent pick just 6 months ago. And he's the one getting sent down? The basketball community is absolutely losing their minds over this. One fan captured the sentiment perfectly, calling it a complete disaster and suggesting Knecht is playing his way out of the league. Another worried his confidence would plummet from this assignment. A third declared, Dalton Knecht is cooked. The takes are flying fast and furious, and honestly, the concern is legitimate. Because here's where this gets truly absurd. Let's compare some numbers, shall we? Dalton Knecht's rookie season right now. 6.4 points per game, 47% shooting from the field, 36% from three. Solid production from a young player who's shown flashes of brilliance, including that volcanic 37-point eruption. This is a kid who can clearly ball when given opportunities. Now let's talk about Bronny James, averaging 1.9 points per game. 1.9, not a typo. Shooting 32% from the field and 28% from three. 0.6 rebounds, 1.5 assists. In limited minutes, sure, but these are historically bad efficiency numbers for a player getting consistent NBA minutes. And yet Knecht is the one being shipped out while Bronny remains firmly planted on that roster. But wait, there's more context that makes this even more insulting. The Lakers also sent Thiero to the G League. Thiero's averaging 1.1 points in 6 minutes per game. Not great, sure, but at least there's a logical argument there. He's barely playing, he needs reps, the G League makes sense for his development. For Knecht, though, this is a first-round investment. This is a player who is producing at an NBA level when given consistent opportunities. This is a player who could genuinely help a rotation if the organization committed to his development at the highest level. Instead, he's heading to the minors while the son of the team's star player occupies a roster spot based purely on his last name.
Bronny James, he's 7 for 28 in 4 preseason games from the field. He's 2 for 13, I believe, from three-point range. He's got 8 assists and 8 turnovers. He's moving into year 2. This guy is not an NBA player.
The phrase nepotism gets thrown around a lot in sports. Usually it's overblown. Usually there's at least some argument to be made that the person in question earned their opportunity, that they bring something to the table beyond their connections. This is not one of those times. LeBron James is one of the greatest basketball players to ever walk the earth. That's not up for debate. The man has 4 championships, 4 MVPs, and a resume that puts him in the conversation with Jordan and Kareem. But greatness on the court doesn't give you the right to manipulate roster construction to fulfill your personal daddy-son fantasy. And make no mistake, that's exactly what this is. A billionaire athlete leveraging his power and influence to secure employment for his underqualified son, while more deserving players get shuffled out of the way. It's the kind of thing that would cause an absolute firestorm in any other workplace in America, but because it's happening in the glamorous world of professional basketball, we're all supposed to just smile and nod along. The uncomfortable truth that nobody in Lakers management wants to acknowledge is Bronny James has no business being on an NBA roster right now. None. Zero. He wouldn't have been drafted in the 2nd round if his last name was Smith or Johnson or literally anything else other than James. He wouldn't have gotten a guaranteed contract. He wouldn't have sniffed a roster spot in some parallel universe where his father isn't LeBron. This isn't about hating on a kid trying to live his dream. Bronny didn't ask to be put in this impossible situation. But the fact remains, he's not ready for this level of competition, and every minute he occupies that roster spot is a minute that could go to someone who actually earned it. Just imagine for a second being J.J. Redick right now. You're a first-year head coach, trying to establish your credibility, trying to build a winning culture, trying to make the tough decisions that championship teams require. And you've got to look up your roster up and down, knowing full well that you've got a player riding the pine who has zero business being there, while a legitimate first-round pick who dropped 37 points in a game is being shipped out to make room. What's Redick supposed to tell Dalton Knecht? Hey, I know you went nuclear for 37 points, I know you can shoot the lights out, I know you're a first-round investment who's only played a handful of games, but we need you to go work on your game in the G League, while Bronny, who's shooting 32% from the field and averaging under 2 points per game, stays here with the big club. How do you say that with a straight face? How do you maintain any credibility as a leader when everyone in that locker room knows exactly what's happening and why? The answer is you can't. Not really. Redick is probably dying inside every time he has to make a decision like this, knowing that basketball merit has taken a back seat to family politics.
Bronny in the NBA, and I know Bronny's got this contract, and if he sticks with the Lakers, maybe it's inevitable, but if LeBron ever has to really force his way out, that may be the end of Bronny's career. That's where LeBron has potentially miscalculated, because his greed, his desire to play with his son may end up blowing up in his face.
And here's what makes it even more infuriating. The Lakers could actually be decent this year. They've got Anthony Davis playing at an elite level when healthy. They've got Austin Reeves emerging as a legitimate secondary star. They've got pieces that could make noise in a wide-open Western Conference. But instead of maximizing their roster, instead of developing their actual first-round investment, instead of making the hard decisions that winning organizations make, they're playing family games. They're sending legitimate NBA draft picks to the G League while protecting a roster spot for someone who's there purely because of his DNA. The defensive issues plaguing this Lakers team aren't going to fix themselves. Right now, they're ranked 20th in defensive rating. 20th! For a team with championship aspirations, that's borderline catastrophic. They're a top 10 offense, which is solid, but they're only winning games by razor-thin margins. Those are the kind of margins that disappear completely in the playoffs when the intensity ramps up and every possession matters. This team needs defenders. They need players who can lock down on the perimeter, protect the paint, switch on screens, and make life miserable for opposing offenses. You know what they don't need? A project player averaging under 2 points per game who's taking up valuable roster spot that could go to someone who actually moves the needle. Dalton Knecht deserves better than this. The Lakers fan base deserves better than this. Hell, even Bronny James deserves better than being turned into a punchline because his father couldn't let go of his dream long enough to consider what's actually best for everyone involved. But here we are, another day in Lakers land, where the drama never stops and the basketball always seems to take a back seat to everything else. The clock is ticking. LeBron's career is winding down. This roster's window is closing. And instead of making the most of the time they have left, instead of properly developing their first-round investment, the Lakers are playing family games while their competitors are building championship-caliber teams based on merit and production. History won't remember this kindly. And when the Lakers fall short again this spring, and make no mistake, they will fall short, everyone's going to look back at decisions like this one and wonder how a franchise that once stood for excellence and championship pedigree allowed itself to become a glorified family business. The answer is simple. They chose loyalty to a legend over loyalty to the game itself. And that's a choice you can't come back from.